Off and on the clock. We have been mixing it up in the lobby over the past month or so. I believe we have drafted in basically every contest on the site, all of the alternative contests for sure. And today we're going to let you guys decide what we should draft. I actually just dropped a poll in the chat here. Weekly winners, Eliminator, Sprint, Superflex, Puppy. YouTube limited me to those 4 options for this poll. We will allow some write-in votes if you feel strongly. But yes, let us know what you'd like to draft, and then we will do it. This is Off and on the Clock with Pete, John, and Nez. All right, GMs, Nez, John, how are we doing here today on this nice Tuesday afternoon?
I mean, if you saw TJ McConnell's stat line last night, Pete, you know I'd be doing all right now. But yeah, no, I'm feeling good. I like this breaking down the fourth wall here and making the audience part of this to determine what we draft.
Yeah, it's always like you see stray comments, right, Nez, like on Twitter of like contests people are enjoying or whatever. But now we're going to get some like concrete data behind the Off and on the Clock audience, what they prefer.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what people prefer. Dude, I can't believe that for a significant portion late in the game, TJ McConnell was the highest scoring player on the Indiana Pacers. Like, TJ McConnell, it's so improbable that TJ McConnell was born on this earth and at any point in time was like in the NBA, let alone a leading scorer in the NBA Finals. It was insane. My dad was texting me, having a ball about it because he's from our neck of the woods, played AAU against him. And so he was like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. I'm like, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. He has no business being in the NBA, and he was a leading scorer for late in the third.
It's basically like if Patrick Laird had made the Super Bowl with the Dolphins and then played like a significant role in the Super Bowl.
It's a pretty good call. It's a pretty good call.
Well, wasn't it the other night? Because I had seen a clip. I think it was a Russillo clip. It was on social somewhere. And it was like a quick there a sequence where he like stole the ball 3 times in a row, just like completely sniping a few of the OKC stuff. So he just keeps like showing up night in and night out.
If only someone had been seeing this all along.
Were you spooked, Nez? Because it was last week I asked you and you're like, Thunder have already won the series. It's over. And then they win. I think after that, of course, things swung back in the other direction last night. Were you worried after that first Pacers win or second or whatever?
Oh, hell yeah. I was super scared. I was scared last night. I was like, dude, this can't be happening. Like, I'm sick of this team. You know, all this talk about how they're so good. They've been so good, but like they can't decisively defeat the Pacers. Like, you know, if you can't bring your A game in the finals, I don't know, man. It's been a frustrating series to watch, but like the bright spot for me yesterday was J-Dub for sure.
That's been your guy for a while.
Unbelievable performance. Yeah, that made me a proud fan of J-Dub for sure last night. But I'm feeling after that win and like it became decisive at the end. Now I am now I can finally like rest easy because I could use a win. For them, I'm incentivized for them to win.
What, in the dance or just like in you
finance? No free ads here, but the prediction markets on Robinhood, I've staked a claim, so that would be nice. For however long that's legal.
Someone in the chat says, please don't make me watch a weekly winners draft. Well, guess what? This is why you should vote. Make your voice heard. It is pretty neck and neck right now. Weekly winners, 30%. Eliminator, 30%. I guess I still am always so confused why people are so averse to the specific format. The weekly winners, it's definitely unique. I feel like so many of the principles to drafting carry over to any of these. And I just think weekly winners is like the most if-then statement of any of the contests. Like what you do with each pick, like informs what you need to do with the other ones to a greater extent. It does require more brain power, but I'm just always fascinated that people are like, I hate weekly winners. I hate super flex. Like it's fucking fantasy football.
I have a dumb question, but like, do you think it makes sense that out of like all the other contests, like incentivize like running back draft capital more than regular best ball does? Like, does that like check out, or like, or the things that we can like borrow?
I don't know. What do you think, John?
I don't think it's a dumb remark. I think it's, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like super flex, you take away one of the wide receiver positions, so you boost up running back capital. Like weekly winners, you boost up running back capital because of their ability to separate / knowing they'll be healthy earlier in the calendar. Like that's the train of thought, Nez.
Yeah, I just think it's like interesting. I mean, maybe Superflex aside, because you are taking away a wide receiver position, like that makes way more intuitive sense. But these other, regular, the same roster format styles, prioritize running back more. And then we get the best ball, and then, we just like don't do that at all. You like it's like a completely different draft style. And I just wonder if there's things that we can like borrow and learn from. Maybe not so much Eliminator. Like that's a completely different game we're playing, but like weekly winners, for example, and to the sprint to an extent, like we're trying to have the highest score in a week, and now we push up running backs. When in best ball, we're just trying to win 1 week at the end of the day as well. So I don't know. I just think it's just something to think about.
Well, and that's why we always talk about too, like how much you can learn about things when you play the dailies. And I think I've become a better best ball player by getting way more into the dailies over the past couple years. And you understand like what kind of players are hitting lineups or hitting optimal lineups on a given week. And it allows you to see like more what kind of players can provide value, or as, because we always think of like, I don't know exactly if I'm describing this how I want to, but like we think of these like dream scenarios for all these players, like these breakout type scenarios, but then you get like very humbled in the season and you see like we are looking at projectable volume a ton. And like we talk about it with our scroll down guys, right? It's not the guy who has the capability of hitting an 80-yard touchdown that we're drafting. We're not drafting like Calvin Austin. We're drafting the guy who's going to get 11 targets that isn't getting drafted in every contest. And we're like, why is this getting overlooked? So I do think that like dynamic really can help kind of inform. They are super different games, but you can learn a lot from each one.
Yeah.
All right, let me check in on the votes. It looks like Eliminator is pulling away 40% Eliminator, 26% weekly winners, which I'm definitely cool with. There was some people in the chat shouting for a Greyhound. I've already used my Greyhound bullet. I believe Nez had you.
No, I haven't.
On yours. Ooh. So Nez, what was the one you blew your load on? The golden. You blew
the golden. That was a mistake. That was my bad. But that thing filled really fast. The Greyhound has been stuck at like 38% for like a week. I don't know the last time a Greyhound lobby filled, to be honest. I'm not saying that we completely reverse course on the votes here, but I've been trying to enter Greyhound drafts, and it's been stuck at like 11 out of like 11 more like for the last week.
Well, how about this? I think if we do 20-second drafts, I think I have the time. Do you guys want to bang out 2 20 seconds?
Sure. Yeah, I'm more than happy to
get in some drafts. Okay. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's do the Greyhound first and let the poll accumulate as more people like trickle in and come in and out.
That's a good call. Nez, are you down to screen share here?
I am. Yeah, I need 9 more.
All right, there you guys go. Everybody wins. If you wanted the trad contests, you're going to get a Greyhound right now. If you've been sitting on your Greyhound entry and trying to get it filled, now is a great time to do that. 7 more people. And then immediately after this, we'll check in on the poll once more and draft a contest outside of the traditional format.
Perfect. This question out of nowhere in the chat is cracking me up. Do you guys remember the 2015 Bengals backfield? Can you name them?
Well, they drafted Jeremy Hill, and was it Gio Bernard in 2014?
I was going to say Gio Bernard for sure. I don't know what year Jeremy Hill was, but
Jeremy Hill was drafted in 2014, and I think Gio was already on the roster then, right?
There you go. Yeah, we know ball.
God, it would have been so awesome to be playing best ball back then and with a Jeremy Hill fade.
Jeremy Hill would have been like the classic 5th or 6th round running back that everyone would have been arguing about for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I promise I actually don't know that much ball. I did my first dynasty startup draft in 2014, which was obviously a really great year with all those incoming wide receivers, the Mike Evans year. And I just like remember every single thing about that year because I did the dynasty startup draft and I cared about it so much. And then the rookie draft. So I just like remember every depth chart at about that time in the year, but you go like much before that and it all just evaporates.
Man, my first dynasty startup was Kerryon Johnson's sophomore year, and I took him in the first round.
Oh,
RIP. Yeah, that dude, he deserved a better fate.
There was that basically until they hit on Gibbs, like between Barry Sanders to Gibbs, where just like the Lions running back situation was just so sad.
Dude, it was. Theo Riddick was like their shining star.
Yeah, I had back-to-back rough entries into the fantasy landscape, not knowing what I was doing, and I was a classic. Took Jay Cutler in the first round, bro. I did that one, and then I distinctly remember that one. And then in the baseball stuff, I tried to body bag everybody by taking double catchers. As I was like, I'll starve the room with the catchers.
I did that.
And nobody ever drafts a catcher ever. Like, you just don't need to.
You think it's so smart at the time?
Oh, I thought I reinvented the wheel out here. I remember trading away Drew. I traded away Calvin Johnson for Drew Brees, and I thought I was the smartest guy in the world.
Holy shit.
I feel like that's the rite of passage for like any fantasy football player. Like you go through one draft season or a couple of drafts where you're like, I'm going to starve the beast at this position. It's like, I'm going to take 6 quarterbacks and the rest of the room won't know what to do. And you're like,
Primetime Palooza, double tight end, baby.
Okay.
Yazzie, your bullet.
Yeah,
man.
it's your bullet. We're just we can be the peanut gallery here. Yeah, I think we've been doing neighbors in that spot.
We have been. I'm going Nico Collins here. This is going to be my pick here, and then I'm going to offer the next pick to you guys here with my single bullet, man. Give me, aliens are coming down to Earth. Give me Nico Collins.
Okay, I like it.
I respect it, man.
Thank you. I'm really excited about him. I've made him like my like back of the first pet for the foreseeable future.
Let's use a full throwout last year brain for 1 second, and we just have first year CJ coupled with Nico breakout. Like, you know what I mean? And we just throw out last year. Where is Nico going amongst this crowd?
It's a tough range. Like, I still think that it's tough for him to lap some of these guys, but he's the type of guy that I just, I feel great about his season long range of outcomes and single week upside, just like much better than Amon-Ra.
Here, press the ADP button there, Nez, and see what we're working with here. You guys scroll up.
Yeah, Rashi. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I was like, holy cow,
my bad.
Awesome guy.
HN.
I like HN. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, my fault, guys. See what happens when I run the ship like one time.
Yeah. I was like, what happened in the middle of the second round? I was like, are your breaks messed up or did something weird happen? I'm like, you should be able to get a better player here.
Rashi looks good at pick 16.
I was like, I know Rashi Rice is screaming up draft boards, but it can't be this dire in the early second round.
No. But yeah, John, I mean, like Nico was on an absolute like scorched earth start to last year, which is really what I have in the back of my mind. Is just the way, like 300-yard games, an 80-yard game, and a 78-yard game before he left the field after playing like 3 snaps against Buffalo. And 3 touchdowns in that 5-game stretch. Like, he was just on a torrid stretch. And
Nico?
Yeah. Talking about Nico here.
He is probably of all of the guys up there, I think you can talk about like a lot of new variables in that range. Obviously, Devontae Adams is a pretty big new variable for Puka. Amon-Ra loses, Ben Johnson. I think that, I think he's a pretty safe asset, but there's some unique stuff there. Obviously Neighbors, new quarterback change, all kind of funkiness there. But like the Nico thesis is pretty unchanged. I think like they've been desperate for complementary weapons to him. Like the addition of like Kirk and Knoll to me isn't like, oh, they're going to take away from him. It's like, no, we wanted Tank Dell out there. We wanted Stephon Diggs. Like we wanted all of this help. And he was like an alpha when the bottom fell out of the offense. Like he was like, you were still taking him in round 1 in BRs, even when it was like a dire outlook for the Texans. So it's pretty easy to see how he could finish as the wide receiver 1 in certain scenarios.
That's a good shout from Easy in the chat where it's like they just ran the ball way better than expected. And like they have awful O-line play, right? Like Bottom just falls out of the run game. Mixon's 1 year older. Now all of a sudden, hey, we're back to just balling out.
All right.
Let's do Brees. Let's have some fun.
Let's go. I'm with it.
Yeah.
Double RB. Well, it feels like a double RB start.
Doesn't it feel like every quote unquote sharp name in the business right now is talking up Brees again? We're doing it all over again.
It definitely seems that way. And I mean, I'm kind of buying it. I don't think Brees got bad overnight,
I know it's like the cop-out answer, but I feel like the price is like perfectly bakes in some of the risk of like it devolving to a timeshare, or, similar to the Kyron price last year. But if things break right, like we've already done the song and dance of drafting Brees Hall as a top 105. Like, I don't think people are fading Brees Hall because of talent right now. They're worried about the coaching staff not wanting to give him a full workload.
The most bullish thing that like I heard in recent memory was Hayden went back and watched all the Braylon Allen tape, and he said he wasn't that good. Because in my mind, I thought he was sick. Like all those primetime Palooza slates where it was like,
man, this is the choose your own adventure.
Yeah, Lamar is still here.
Dude, flip the board and take your boy Pickens.
Right here?
I don't know. Why not?
Oh my God.
Who do you like more?
Yeah, I generally take Worthy here, but Lamar's fun in the single bullet.
A Lamar fall to me was just way too hard to pass up when I think I like him more than Josh Allen.
I think all three of us here. This is our third single entry bullet that we've done on stream now. And I think all three of us capitulated to taking the falling quarterback in this format in the 4th round. Because we wound up with 2 Josh Allens and 1 Lamar now.
I just looked. Yeah, the golden was we took Josh Allen at pick 39.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Yeah, that was hard for me to pass up.
The fun thing about Lamar, obviously you miss out on Zay, but Andrews and Likely are so palatable. I've been warming up to Rashad Bateman a little bit as well, in that range. Keaton Mitchell is now a pretty fun late round running back dart. So like it's a decent back stack. Like there's ways you can get there. I think the Packers bring back Angle in week 17 is also fun. I dig it.
Let me see how many people are in the finals for this. 53. All right.
Yeah. It's
decent size.
Yeah. So this one, for people who don't know, the Greyhound, it's a single entry, fast drafts only, $30K to first. The typical 2 of 12 in the regular season, but then 1 of 5 week 16, 1 of 4 week 16. And then a 53 seat final. So if there's a contest you don't need to worry about correlating week 16, it is the Greyhound. It is essentially a head-to-head to get there.
A perfectly timed video.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get ahead of this. We were up in 4 picks and just kind of throw the top of ADP wide receivers in the queue. I saw a little bit of FUD on Jordan Addison. Yeah, we got the DUI trial set for July. I think it was Hayden Winks Esquire saying that he thinks that it's very possible we get an Addison suspension this season. So I'm kind of like out on Addison for the time being, but I do think wide receiver makes sense here.
I always take Ridley here.
I like Ridley.
Gives you a nice little cheeky back stack too. Like
love a cheeky back stack.
Yeah,
I think it's a good shout about Addison. I don't really think his value should change that much, but how many times have we seen the market recount something once the news hits? So if you get the 2-game suspension from Addison, like, he's falling to the late 6. Like, it's just maybe it course corrects eventually and he boomerangs and moves back up, but he will fall when the suspension is mentioned. So it's like, yeah, just take your foot off the gas for now. Wait till after July 15th, probably, and then you can get much cheaper Addison, I would guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, end of the 6th, I think would make sense if that ever hit. Where the J. Jeff drafter, ends up taking him for the double. Okay. Back up on the clock here. Just throwing wide receivers in here because we are a little, weak at that position. But I think I'd probably opt for the. You want to go Olave?
Yeah, Godwin news sounds bullish too.
Does it?
Either or.
It seems like he's going to be on track. I haven't heard much negative.
We
I like
John's
Olave
guy.
too.
That's good to know. Man, the Bucks are going to be pretty scary. Yeah, okay, I see here. Optimism. Well, that was a week ago. But man, if Godwin's good to go, Bucks are going to be, once again. I mean, I don't. It feels weird taking Baker over Mahomes, but if Godwin's healthy, man, I don't know if Baker's going high enough.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
I know it doesn't matter as much in this contest, but my brain just went dust up Week 17 Fest, New Orleans versus Titans there and paired those two together.
Didn't we go through the Week 17 and that was like your 5th favorite of the games, even though it has to be like the 2nd worst?
Objectively,
it's got a 32.5 total. It's got an 8-point spread.
we did Galaxy Brain, like that was like the first thing we did when when the schedule came out, is we tried to make a case for the ugliest game possible for our Slop It Up Fest, and that was easily the one. And I mean, if Shuck's running and throwing, that's what we're gonna need for Olave to be a hit here. So
look at all these back stacks we've opened up here.
Dude, speaking of like Chris Godwin and the Bucks, man, I've been grinding the coach speak lately, trying to get any edge I can. They for whatever reason, they keep talking about their 7th round rookie Tez Johnson like a lot. I think McMillan is just like done. I don't understand. I really.
This is a really kid. I'm tilting that. Actually, let's make your pick here. What do you got? 1, 2, 3. Diggs is best available wide receiver. A lot of Downs buzz these days.
Yeah, Diggs Downs are redacted.
Is Downs already gone?
I think Downs went.
Wow, the buzz is out of control.
Yeah, the buzz is buzzing.
Good.
Yeah, I'll take Diggs.
I was gonna say, so I did that challenge video on the Deposit Kingdom like a month or so ago, and I had to take $3 ahead of ADP, and I kind of fumbled the challenge because I was backed into having to take like a true dust ball with the 18th round pick, and I was going back and forth between Tez Johnson and Trey Palmer, and I'm like, I didn't even click that right. Like, obviously now I would, because of all that hype, I would have taken Tez Johnson.
Yeah,
but I was pissed off, and so I took Trey Palmer.
There you go. I'm gonna try to find some quotes because I just recently gave Coach Speak Index my subscription, so I'm grinding his Discord, which is just like he definitely does not charge enough for this stuff. This is just really good. I'm glad that it's like paywalled now.
I told him when he did it, I think Levitan told him, everyone keeps telling him he needs to raise the price for it.
Yeah, because this is like insane. He just has a channel for like every single team. You just do like the filter on Discord, like in Tampa Bay, Tez, and I guess I know they were talking about him. I didn't make this up.
No, they definitely were. It was it might have been one of the other wide receivers. It might have been Evans or
As you were up.
Godwin. Oh yeah, you're up.
Okay. 16 seconds.
Okay.
Pacheco.
Pacheco? He's on the rise.
He feels like he should be a riser.
I'm fine with it.
My mom told
Looking
me that
healthy.
if I don't
That's
have
what we wanna
anything
see.
nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Nice.
That was I don't take a lot of Pacheco, but
Yeah.
he is on the rise, so maybe we're capturing some early value here.
Yeah, he was on the actual ADP chasing risers chart today when they were going through the market movers.
I blame Hayden for that because he just kind of like illustrated the fact that look at the implied team totals, look at what KC's backfield should be or could be, and then look at the ADPs relative to their team totals, relative to all the other teams, and their backfield is by far the cheapest right now. So like, why not just try and smash a winner?
I guess my issue with it is like you look how the market is handling, say, the Cowboys situation, which I think everyone agrees like can be a very fruitful environment for running back points. And being like, man, none of these are great options. And so we're going to take the first one off the board around like pick 120. The rookie, we're going to take around 140 or whatever. But with the Chiefs, it does seem like I would argue a similar amount of ambiguity to that backfield. Yeah. And yet I think you're having to pay more of the like tax on Pacheco. I guess it makes sense in that Javonte hasn't been in the system, didn't look good last year. And, Pacheco has had success there, but I don't know. I just think there's more ambiguity in the Chiefs backfield than the spread from Pacheco to all those 18th round guys indicates.
It's true. But then the counter is if the dusty corpse of Kareem Hunt can score like 10 plus touchdowns, like can't Pacheco? Like that's just
for
like,
sure.
Yeah. But yes, I
sure
totally gain the ambiguity factor. And there's a non-zero chance that they just go like, hey, Kareem Hunt did it for us last year and he scored those touchdowns. Let's just give him that role again.
Well, and if anything, I think you could say the Chiefs are just like almost like lazy with how they approach running back. And then they're like, halfway through the season, they're like, oh, yeah, we better sign Samaje Perine, or like, we better like figure something out. Whereas this year, it felt like they were a little more proactive. They're like, let's go get Eli Mitchell. He could do the Kareem Hunt thing for us if we need. Let's go and draft Brashard Smith. I think the exciting thing about Brashard Smith, too, is he does immediately profile as the best pass catching running back on the team. Like that's never been a hallmark of any of those guys. Hunt's fine at it, but I do think the fact that that role is there for the taking makes Brashard Smith pretty intriguing.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, it's always what we're looking for. All right, we're on deck.
Yep.
I got some Ravens in the queue for us. Just getting us prepared.
I mean, Andrews makes a ton of sense here for this team. I mean, the only reason not to is like everyone hates Andrews right now. He like slid to 126 in my best ball breakfast room yesterday, but I mean, he makes so much sense for this team.
Yeah, I'm a Andrews slap, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we don't need to construct a super team by sneaking in an extra 9th round pick in the Greyhound. So we're
sneaking in an extra key on Coleman. That's not going to be.
That's how you win the Greyhound.
Did you guys see Keon Coleman in the charity basketball game?
Yeah.
Yes.
What did he drop, like 60?
Dude, I'm in on Keon Coleman. I moved him up 2 rounds after that shit.
He's just so cool.
I can't believe he's available right now.
Could he become the first NFL athlete who's actually better at basketball than he is at football?
Non-tight end.
DK might be close.
Oh, Sweeney, come on. Sorry, we got Andrews as a stack. I guess we don't need the.
I mean, Bateman. What is his ADP? Is it like 120? Did he just go a full round ahead of ADP because you put him in
two picks? Okay. But that's still naked Bateman. Yuck. Well, I love Najee Harris.
Hey man, it's your bullet. Go for it,
dude. Get your guy.
Yeah, get your guy. I mean,
we can damn near shut it down after this if we wanted to go old school hyper fragile.
Yeah,
I still love the thesis of adding the 5th, but I see your point.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I feel like always pops up is just like you definitely can be done based on it. But then like you're going to be staring at some of the wide receivers and you're going to have like 2 tight ends and 3 quarterbacks. And I'm like, fuck it. I'll take Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah. I even found a new guy. I mean, I'm late to this party, but I'm still early to this party. A nice 18th round running back that like I think I'm going to load up on this this Kyle Manon guy for the Bears.
Oh boy, your Manon guy pilled.
Get this, guys. All right.
Uh-huh.
You know, what's something that you're worried about with these rookies, right? I mean, what's the one thing that we know about Baishaw Tootin? Is he fumbled? He fumbled in camp. That's all we know. Kyle Manon guy did not fumble a single time at Rutgers. He never once fumbled the ball. So we got the ball control on lock for this rookie. That's a problem. We know all these free agent running backs that were available. Everything that I keep reading is saying, like, you know what? They got their guy. They got their guy. We don't need to sign any incumbents for our running back room because we already have Kyle Manon guy. We're good. LeBron, we're good here. So I'm buying the Manon guy hype, man. I mean, he's a little beast in the Big Ten. And, you know, all these opportunities to add in the backfield, and they didn't. I don't know, man. I think I'm in.
All right. The only person that could possibly walk through the door and fuck it up is Jamal Williams with the Ben Johnson connection, right? Like that's the only possible person, right?
I'm starting to think that Nez has a little Rutgers fetish. You know, first drafts Pacheco, now talking up the nun guy. What next? You're gonna reveal the Ray Rice poster hanging up on your wall?
I'm more like an Ace Bailey guy, if that's what you're. I think, or is he St. John's? I can't remember. No, man. He is, of course, drawing cheap Pacheco comps, but I think he could even be better than Pacheco.
You could cook up that little New England stack without Drake May, or is Drake May still available?
No, Drake May goes like in the 90s on Underdog. It's absurd. I'm cool with it, or Hollywood.
You guys pick between the two.
I don't mind the teammate stack there, but you got both of them. So that both of them are teammates. I mean,
yeah, that's true. That was what I was tie breaking for there. Man, Kyle Williams without Drake May, I don't like the way it feels.
I agree with I haven't been taking much Kyle Williams. Period. I have a funny screenshot that I want to show after this pick too.
Do you guys like the combination pairing more of like Pacheco plus a wide receiver than pairing 2 wide receivers without the quarterback? Like, is that enough to just swing it there?
But, I mean, when the pairing is Diggs and Kyle Williams, yes, I prefer Pacheco and wide receiver. I mean, while we're here and I'm just firing off at the hip here, Mac Hollins outscores Kyle Williams this year.
I mean, that's it. Technically, that's a hot take, but I think it's a good take because I don't think it's as hot as many might think.
He might only need 70 fantasy points, and Mac Williams scores 4 touchdowns. Like, yeah, that checks out.
Now he comes back, so you can do that. You can also do Mims opposite your Chief stuff in Week 17 if you prefer him. Did Stroud go?
I think so.
So then you can probably sit on like Cam Ward and grab a wide receiver here.
Yeah, I like the Mims shout.
I might go second tight end there and take Goddard.
Okay.
Like, you'd go Goddard over Likely in same range on a base. Oh, you have
because we got Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have gone for
not
Goddard
a Mims guy.
I kind of think I think he's okay for best ball. Like, maybe more of a weekly winners guy, but like, yeah, I'm okay with him in best ball.
Okay.
Here, real quickly, I just want to show this. I needed a place to do this joke, but this is what the experience is of using the sidekick. This is every time you get here. I just think this is so hilarious where it's like you have a double stack and a Week 17 break back, and then it's like Drake May slightly.
but hey, Drake May's got rushing upside.
That's great.
I just died when I saw that. It's like every flashing green light click JJ McCarthy, but it's like, but how about Drake May?
How about Drake May? That's good.
Oh, that's so great, man. I do love Drake May, man. I do want to have a lot of Drake May, but that's great.
I had to run it back to Paul's comment in the chat there. He's asking what the 2 players I tacked on after you left for our Greyhound single entry there, Nez. And it was Donta Thornton and Taj Brooks. So never
Both
wrong, just
aging
early,
nicely.
boys.
I was going to say
Never
the
wrong, just
Thornton
early.
one really starting to age nicely.
Yeah, and I'm coming around on Taj Brooks too. Even though, I mean, I forgot Samaje was there. That's definitely a thorn in the side of just like getting on the field, but they don't seem too in love with Moss as you would expect.
We were reading the blurb on them on Best Ball Breakfast too, in the way they were talking about Taj Brooks, and Zach Moss did come across as like more of an afterthought. The way they were talking about it.
I do dubs here, by the way.
Yeah,
just for the stack.
I'm way about that for that. I mean, the 17 doesn't matter as much in 50 whatever person final, but I still do think he's just underpriced.
Yeah, that's just like that's way more exactly what you said, right? It's just a bonus that he's a week 17 stack.
Yeah. I mean, there is a mental tier break for me with like Rashad and then the next tier of like running backs and stuff. Unless there's still one that is below an ADP that is probably already gone, but I won't say it out loud just in case the next pick here.
Is Ward still here, Nez?
Yes.
You probably need to do that here.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. With the Ridley bet. Yeah.
Unless you're shuck pilled, because otherwise you don't really have much other options at quarterback.
Nope. Yeah,
you can still take
good shot.
Dobbins is gone though, right? He went at like 45.
Yeah, Dobbins.
He's
Dobbins
been going early.
Good.
Yeah. I got him ranked 125, bud. Not in my league.
Yeah.
Are these proprietary Nez ranks? A little blend, a little special sauce? What's cooking?
Yeah, these are easy ranks with the little Nez adjustments made to them.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I play around with a lot of different ranks, with the different outs out there. But I mean, no free ads, but I do really enjoy Easy's ranks. I think those are most aligned with myself. I still make a couple adjustments here and there.
I just thought like of a bit, and I guess it would be like the Davis Maddock this year, but like the guy who aggregates 18 different ranking sets, but then it just ends up being ADP. He's just like, dude, I am like drafting off of the most humble approach ever. It just like perfectly maps to ADP.
There's so many obscure
IQ.
best ball.
That's an IQ meme where it's just like one side is like drafting on ADP, that in the middle is like all this secret sauce, and then on the far side this is blended ADP.
You pay $1,200 a month in best ball rank subs just to have it aggregate out to ADP.
That's fucking good.
Somebody help me! My family is dying. There's so many different like best ball guys that just come up that you could do like a 2-hour long video if you really fleshed out every single one. I
have more ideas in my document this year at this time than I've ever had. I mean, like I could make the video now, and I'm probably going to need to start because I have some ambitious bits I want to do for it.
Nice.
That's going to be great.
I'm gonna go cancel all my subs. He's like, wait, I've just been paying for all these guys to tell me that ADP has it figured out in the first place.
Best player available. It's not that bad.
Easy.
I used easier. Gubby says he used easy ranks last year. My wife left me, please. That's because you're not aggregating the easy ranks with 9 other sources.
Yeah,
that's your problem.
Easy ranks on their own. We could have told you that was going to happen.
Yeah. Can we get someone in the contest, the Urzik contest, who vows to draft exactly off of ADP for every selection?
They'd probably do like so much better than the field, and it would just
I bet they would.
All right, kind of a weird spot here. Do you guys have any like preference? I don't really care. Like Rico Dowdle is a fine running back in my opinion.
Rico or Shipley, but Rico's probably a tier above.
Yeah, I also. Yeah, because you can sit on Chig maybe next pick for your other tight end with Cam Ward. Cam Ward also just a nice back stack because you got You got the other Lockett, Iomanor, Chig.
Yeah.
Man, I think this team, like, it honestly looks done at wide receiver and running back to me. And this is where I would do Shuck, Juwan Johnson, and Chig to close. Like, those would be my last three right now.
Yeah.
My only counter would be Shuck over an additional wide receiver on this team where I think you're maybe a little bit weaker at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I would love a little rookie breakout swing on
Sure.
this team if it exists, but it might not exist at this point.
Yeah.
I think we might be able to find something. Are you guys okay with Chig, or do you want to go?
No, I like Chig.
Okay.
You could also do
Chig
Hopkins. You could also do Hopkins for the stack, but
he might if he comes back. If he comes back, that is a. I was just staring at Chig for so long that I went Chig. Hopkins maybe the better pick, but I was also thinking about just needing a second tight end as well. Hopkins, he may come back.
Hopkins is the opposite of what Pete wanted on this roster, though, so it doesn't really fit.
I mean,
construction.
if you could push me off of a rookie, a correlated pass catcher isn't the worst way to do it, but
correlated Hall of Fame pass catcher potentially.
Nez doing the no rookie challenge. No, Cam Ward. Okay, we did get Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah, he has a headshot, so it's a little deceiving.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if we're gonna take a rookie, why don't we take the one that went 101?
That's right.
yeah.
I don't always take rookies, but when I do, they go fucking first overall in the draft, brother.
I've been kind of sleeping on Cam Ward, but I'm woke now. I went on Fantasy Sanctuary with Tom and Tyler yesterday, which was a lot of fun. And
How's Tyler?
Emo Cowboy.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to call him by his government name. Excuse me. Had a lot of fun, and they were kind of like pushing me up on Cam Ward, and I'm like, I was a bit of a Calvin Ridley bull last year with Will Levis. Maybe I should, go back to that well with the Cam Ward as opposed to Will Levis. I mean, we knew Will Levis wasn't good, but I didn't know to the extent he wasn't good. To be totally fair, but yeah, I think they match up well. They were selling me on him.
Calvin Ridley hit value last year too, and now you're getting him
season.
Yeah, you're hitting him with the exact same price point with conceivably better quarterback play.
He did the 1K, 1,000 receiving yards, 1,000 unrealized air yards.
Illustrious.
Good one.
Yeah.
Number one in my XFP league.
I thought you were going to say 1,000 lost on parlays behind the scenes.
I always am fascinated thinking about how, like, your first thought when you hear players' names, and for a while with Ridley, it was like the gambling stuff. And now I'm just like, yeah, he's that guy that Will Levis overthrew all last year. Like he shed the gambling stigma, at least in my eyes.
Yeah.
All right. I guess you got to fucking do Hopkins at this point.
I guess. Right.
Yeah. This might be my first share of him.
This is my first share. Yeah. I don't take Hopkins, but when I do, it's definitely past pick 200.
Man, this is an AARP wide receiver room.
This is how I love drafting like this.
You needed to draft Tez Johnson to round this out, just to like get
it's to feel
like
a
youth
40-pound rookie. Yeah,
bring down the mean age.
Are you guys cool with two tight ends here with the Mark Andrews bet?
I was going to say Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been doing a ton of Jatavian Sanders, so this will be nice to not have Jatavian Sanders.
It's also a single bullet if you're a true believer.
Yeah, I think Juwan doing that phantom stack with you don't need Shuck, just grab Juwan and Olave makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Juwan's so consistent. Just forever a great 18th round pick, year in and year out. Good stuff.
This is gonna be the team that prevents just like this incredible third place team, just like the sexiest third place team of all time that would go on to win the contest, except Ness's team is going to advance over it. Like that's how these things work.
This thing spawned with like a 75% chance to advance.
Oh yeah, this is a fucking advance rate monster.
Shall I recap for everybody here?
Some guy's gonna be scrolling the pod in the final week and be like, "How the fuck do they have Hopkins as well? Like, just like,
kidding me.
Exactly.
All right, I'll do a little recap
Brown
here.
too?
2583, Lamar and Cam Ward at quarterback. Running back is Devon A. Chan, Brees Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Najee Harris, and Rico Dowdle. Wide receivers are Nico Collins, Calvin Ridley, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, Hollywood Brown, Marvin Mims, Romeo Dubs, and DeAndre Hopkins. Tight ends, Mark Andrews, Chigakonkwo, and Jawan Johnson. Average age of that player on that team is easily 35.
Yes. But the young one's going to learn from this team. No, I do think, again, like obviously the week 17 stuff, you're going to want to have some juice at the end. But when you look at that, what was it? 1 of 5 and 1 of 4 in there, I think
palatable.
that definitely changes. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. We got a Greyhound in the books. I just hopped in a Eliminator. We need 4 more 20-second Eliminator. The Eliminator did win. Nice. I'm officially ending the poll here. 40% Eliminator, 22% tie for weekly winners in Superflex. And poor JMC down so bad, even with his 9 burner YouTube accounts, could only get it up to 17% full.
Pete, I saw you had Mayo on the BBB Monday, which was like easily contender for guest of the year so far. Maybe, easily the front runner right now for guest of the year with the way he berated your chat. Did we talk about, my Eliminator draft with him at all on his channel that I did?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I want to say I saw like a stray comment or two about it, but refresh my memory.
Well, it was just like it was funny. Like we had a good chat and stuff. And then he was like, we just decided on a 30-second Eliminator to have some time to talk through our picks together. And it just took really long to fill. And he was like, how long does these things take to fill? Like, this is just like unbelievable. I was like, I'm crowdsourcing so many people to join to like draft with us to get this thing off the road. And we took so long that he ends up pushing the plane. He sets ranks and pushes the plane on stream. He just asking me, how do I set ranks? I'm like, go here. Like, and we took a naked Joe Burrow as well. It was just a hilarious ending to a good stream.
Good.
And that's so funny because on Best Ball Breakfast, I started, we were talking Eliminator a little bit, and I referenced the show you did with him. And then he thought we were in an Eliminator draft through, I think, the first couple of rounds. Like, no, this is Best Ball Mania. And then he proceeded to berate anyone who would dare to draft best ball teams in June. It was great.
great ambassador.
And there were like 2 guys in the chat I didn't even like recognize. Like I had not even seen those accounts before that were like really pissed at Pat Mayo making fun of them.
I love this comment from the consigliere in the chat. He's like, we just did an Eliminator ass team.
Yes, if you voted for Eliminator, you're getting your money's worth because we're just drafting back-to-back Eliminator teams.
Oh man, maybe I should just stick to that contest.
Yes. Justin Rush, $1.99 to answer the question. How do you feel about Miles Sanders as a Hail Mary? I like it.
I mean, that never wrong, just early. We liked it last year. He was going to start. Yeah, we liked it.
I think it's like funny to classify him as a Hail Mary, but like I like him. I do like him in the 18th round. It's just like a hilarious. Like I wouldn't call him a Hail Mary. I'd call him like I don't know, like what's that? Like a QB sneak on the 4th to like get a first down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm praying to the Catholic deities anytime I select him.
You gotta say the entire rosary.
Yeah. All right, so we did Nico the first time. We got to get back into an Eliminator ass mindset here.
Amon-Ra, isn't he just the most Eliminator ass pick ever?
Yeah. But should we do Amon-Ra and Nico, or John, do you want to throw in another suggestion?
Let's not capitulate to the push the running back up in Eliminator crowd and see what happens.
Okay. Let's go.
I like the other side of the board, traditionally speaking, in the 3rd and 4th for running back. So let's see if it comes back in this format or not. Because as you guys can see, the cranking green has already started.
Yeah. Derrick Henry goes 10 here. Achane goes 14.
You guys will have to let me know, by the way, if you hear anything from the outside. There's a shit ton of noise happening outside my house.
Good so far.
Okay.
The real Hail Mary in that backfield is the Mafia raise up.
Yeah, that's a Hail Mary.
There's Eliminator ass picks, and then there's Roto Run ass picks. And talking about Phil Maffa as a Roto Run ass pick.
Yeah.
I think Phil Maffa is built like DK Metcalf. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's
like same dimensions.
Okay.
6'1", 234. Yeah.
Dude, that's so awesome.
That's a big boy.
Beast.
Not quite DK Metcalf, but
for people who aren't aware of the Eliminator structure, we did a video. Actually, this actually works out well because I don't think John was there when we did the Eliminator video.
That's right.
And I actually think I'm going to go in the lab and make like a full Eliminator strategy video for the Deposit Kingdom. I've been chatting with this guy, Christopher Davis. He's been doing like some sim stuff and some research on it and had some interesting things. And so I'm like, have enough nuggets that I think I can make a full video about it. But again, for people who don't know, it's 6 of 12, your week 1, just week 1. And then every other week, subsequent week, is a head-to-head to advance. You versus one other team, in just a 15-week gauntlet after that until you arrive at a 3-person final. And if you are one of those 3 lucky teams, you are guaranteed at minimum 76,000 and potentially 200K if you win it. And so those sweats each week just become exponentially more fun and enticing with the money on the line.
It's a very, very cool throwback to kind of how we all started playing fantasy football. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have some deep dive strategy thoughts for you guys on the Eliminator right now.
I want to hear it because I'm still fleshing it out a bit. Should
we be optimizing for week 1? Because we all know, if you're playing cash, it's harder to beat the cash when you're playing, in the big double ups as opposed to the head to heads. Should we be looking at these week 1 schedules more?
Like just because you think the cash line score will be higher?
Absolutely. It will. It's objectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the most important week in this contest. The thing is like, can you navigate that via structure, or is it worth it, to Nez's point, in starting to look at like individual matchups? Because you still don't necessarily want to open yourself up. You wouldn't want to like fully stack up a game because then you're opening yourself up to too much variance for a 6 of 12.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But are you thinking more a little like DVP type angle?
Yeah, perhaps if we see, I think these NFC South teams are pretty weak.
Dude, that's the nuts.
Playing, I did not think you were going to get either of these 2 back here.
Yeah.
Whoa.
James Cook goes at 311. I'm not even the world's biggest Kyron fan, but Kyron Brees at 3-4 here after a 2 wide receiver start seems great.
Yeah, you just dare the room to prove it. This is the cash game mantra. Prove it, boys. And they didn't fucking prove it. And we wound up with the nuts.
I'm trying to see what else. I guess, Chase Brown went relatively similar to where he normally goes. Cook was kind of the rogue pick. It was the quarterbacks getting pushed up too. Daniels goes late second. Allen goes 28. Lamar goes 30. And was able to push Kyron and Brees down to us.
Yeah, hot take. This is the least relevant format to have elite quarterback.
I don't think that's a hot take.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
The reason, it's because having 3 quarterbacks and just 3 at the onesie positions is really nice. And the whole point of taking an elite quarterback is that you don't have to generally spend the 3rd. So you're kind of boxing yourself in. Like if you take Jaden Daniels in the 2nd round, like, yes, can you take 3 QBs? Sure, I guess. But like, man, the 2v2s are going to look pretty rough on like the round 2 players you're battling against.
Yeah, and good quarterbacks have bad games, and bad quarterbacks have mean outcome all the time. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
why you punt quarterback in cash for years.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why obviously it makes way more sense in weekly winners. Why those guys get pushed up, like Jaden Daniels, two of like weekly winners. I don't think I would blink.
They get pushed up because they can separate so much. Here, separation means nothing. The only separation that matters is as long as you don't get buried by 20.
The counter argument that someone would make, even though I agree with you, would be that they're separating via their floor.
Sure,
that the floor from Jane Daniels is really, really good. But it more than goes back to that structural thing. Like Jane Daniels could easily get banged up and miss a week or something. And then it's like, are you going to put your season on the line, or you head through a gauntlet where now it's like you're asking Sam Darnold to be the guy who's beating what will be. And like the other thing you got to remember, right, is the evolutionary element of this contest. Like the teams are just going to get stronger and stronger. Every single subsequent week will be a stronger team than the one you faced the week before.
Yeah, that's true.
That's stressful. Did you guys have any eliminator sweats last year?
No, but I didn't draft that many teams.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think I did 20. I didn't do like a full set.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the counter, there's a couple good counters in the chat where Jumfrey's saying like 3 quarterbacks creates a floor as well. But then the counter to that is what Sus Edwards is saying, that you open up a flex spot, which what's the value of the flex added, I guess, would be the counter.
And normally in like the traditional stuff, the value of that flex, that later, running back or wide receivers that you can hit on a potential league winning breakout.
Right.
But the way this works as more of like a median contest where you're trying to survive all these head to heads, like I feel like the resiliency at the onesie positions is more valuable.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The other nice thing is like you're now getting some really nice deals on some of these wide receivers. Like Zay coming back to us at the 5-6 turn, I feel like is a slam dunk. I am starting to check bye week. So 7, 8, 6. We do have Kyron and Amon Ra with the same bye week.
Okay.
So we can keep an eye out for 8. Like Travis Hunter as both a rookie who I love, but as our third week 8 bye is probably starting to get into dicey territory.
Yeah,
plus given his range of outcomes.
Do Calvin Ridley.
I'm cool with running it back.
Yeah, and the only other thing is like if you're starting to see a premium on the running back prices and being like, can I get one at a value? But I don't see any that are screaming to me as values right here. It's also weird. Like there's almost like not a positional trend in here. It's more just like one-off, like James Cook going way earlier than normal. David Montgomery going way earlier than normal. James Conner, but then like it normalizes, like Kenneth Walker, who's probably one of the best like projectable volume picks in the 5th round, goes closer to his ADP. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time making sense of the room.
Yeah, it's definitely not like perfectly efficient, as all these side contests, have their quirks for sure.
James Conner is the epitome of such an eliminator ass pick.
Yeah.
Like James Conner going over Ken Walker and being pushed up a bit. It's like, yep, that's an eliminator pick.
Dude, this pick 4 team is just flexing on everybody right now.
Yeah, see how he lands the plane here.
I'll tell you one part of the movie. I saw in it. I don't know how, but it involves Michael Pittman Jr. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie with this
Spoiler
team
alert.
a million times,
Yeah.
and there is always a cameo from Michael Pittman Jr. in these flicks.
God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's an interesting point from Nolan in the chat that like Walker has a pretty high standard deviation, which kind of makes sense. Like whereas like Kyron feels like the opposite of that. So like band of projection. relative to Eliminator.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like Walker, I think is like, way more seen as a home run hitter. So
Yeah.
I think that does make sense.
But it's funny though, because if you talk to like, I agree that that's how he's been perceived. But I think one of the things that makes him such a strong pick this year, and like if you talk to the projection bros, and I just remember having this conversation with Leone too, that they're higher on Walker than the market by a pretty big way because they project Seattle to be way more run heavy this year than even they were last year.
Okay.
And that Walker, like the volume could smooth out that, boom bust nature a little bit, just because like they're not going to ask Sam Darnold to drop back 50 times, a game.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the a lot of talk being made of the Kubiak run scheme fitting his play style better too.
That's out of my
pay grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The old outside zone.
Yeah. But I feel like, to me, Kenneth Walker becomes an awesome eliminator pick because he's helping you accomplish kind of those two things, right? Where you do want the ability to have scores that can win you your week, right? Like, we don't want to say that ceiling isn't important. Like, one of these guys can single-handedly win you your week. Like, if you have the week that Jamar Chase in week 7 goes off for 45, like, you're gonna advance. So like having the home run hitters is still valuable there, but because of the volume that I think we expect him to get to, that gives him the floor. And that's, I think, ultimately what we're looking for in this contest, right? Like, we don't want the floor to bottom out with our picks, but we still want access to a ceiling.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just looking at this RJ Harvey pick. Like, is the fall never coming for him? Like,
a lot of resistance to the fall.
Insane to me.
So this is an interesting spot too, where this was the only argument for, I think, going running back over Ridley, was just then looking at now what happened to the running backs here at 7-8. Like, we're already down to the Jalen Warren, Jordan Mason. And I think I might even advocate for Warren here with one of these picks.
Yeah, I think I'd pound the table for Najee as an eliminator ass pick.
But he's definitely a good eliminator. I would think like running back, wide receiver here.
Yeah, or you could talk me into double running back. Whichever of the running backs you guys prefer between Najee and Warren. And we
can go Jalen here. We've been taking a lot of Najee on stream. I think it's time we can mix it up. But
and then I personally think
Downs is the more eliminator pick here of these boom bust guys, but
yep.
But I also love the Green Bay guys. But what do you think?
Downs or Najee?
Okay. I was gonna say Reed or Dan. So
all right, let's do it, because I think the wide receiver too, like, the guys that, the Bateman, the Mims, the Keon Coleman, like those guys, I do think have a much lower like weekly floor than maybe even the running backs will like in that range. Like, I think I do like the 2v2s in that range to the running back side for eliminator. Like, you look at a Ramondre or a Spears, guys that I think will have a standalone role. So maybe get that last kind of wide receiver there, and then come back and see how we want to play it.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. I think Downs makes a lot of sense for this format, especially, if we're thinking it's going to be the Danny Dimes show in Indy. We might not even be properly projecting, Josh Downs, and that ADP could actually be even still a little incorrect.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. Okay, I got 2 questions for you guys. Has anyone looked into this thing that Henny's saying in the chat? That, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to line up against a duped team, but you'll definitely have it'll never happen. But if there's like a duped matchup or something like that, I imagine it just reverts back to the previous week's scoring of a matchup. But if they're 100% duped, like, I don't think possible.
I mean, the best ball tiebreak is highest bench player, and if you were somehow duped all the way there, then it's whoever drafted first.
Oh, okay, cool. There you go. There's your tiebreaker. Yeah. Whoever drafted first is your tiebreaker.
That is an unfortunate tiebreaker in the best ball playoff streets.
And then Easy has a really good question, but don't bring it up because I didn't want to say his name out loud yet.
Okay. Gotcha. Here's another thing to talk through for this. I do think talking through stacking is pretty interesting because obviously the whole point of stacking is we kind of want to open ourselves up to that variance. And when we want to be right, we want to be right across multiple picks. But we also know there are going to be down games, and you are almost for sure walking into weeks where your quarterback and your pass catcher that you spent picks on are going to fail together. And then you are asking a ton on the rest of your team to buoy you through that bad stretch. So the question for you guys would be, is the season-long team level correlation, does that still outweigh, you hit on like the league winning breakout, even though you might have a dud game in there, is that still worth taking on? Or trying to maybe lean into a naked quarterback, or just even other pocket passer quarterbacks that aren't directly correlated with your pass catchers to kind of smooth out your week-to-week variance?
That's a loaded question. I think it's the archetype of player matters a lot. Like I think, stacking in a non-traditional sense of like a rushing quarterback with a good running back would be like something that's counterintuitive, but would actually play well in this format. I think the taking a pocket passer that is unstacked, that is like perceived as floor, is probably net bad. Like you always want to lean into one isolated skinny stack. We're on the clock here.
Yeah, I know. And that's why like a guy like Brock Purdy, it was kind of interesting to think through that.
Yeah. I'd probably say Scatabo.
I was just going to put him in the queue just to buy us a little more time here. I'm also fine grabbing another one of these running backs like a Ramondre or Spears here.
Do we think they belong above the not mentioned
Drake May is my bet.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see, I think this was kind of, hinting at the conversation I was thinking about of like, one interesting thing, and we saw this last year, right? If we were looking at Nerdy's Battle Royale sims, and some of the perceived pocket passers who had a bunch of weapons would actually show up as more optimal used naked because they spread it out, and that spread out nature was actually capping the individual ceilings of those players in a way you didn't want to draft a stacked wide receiver who only had a 16-point ceiling. You want to be able to use that pick on a guy who can go for 25. And so you'd actually see Brock Purdy pop up as like a quarterback to run naked. And Caleb Williams and Jordan Love would be other ones in that regard. It was so spread out that you'd want them to run naked. And I was trying to see, is there a way that maybe that could apply here as well? The problem is the spreading out isn't necessarily a bad thing in this because it's still giving you a floor with that stack.
Right. Yeah.
But it's the ceiling that's capped with the spread out.
Why I think stacking is not only fine but good here is because like we have bench players, in the battle royales, you are drafting who you are planning on using in salary. You are, building lineups of who you have to use. You don't have any bench. Here, you do have a bench to fall back on. So like, I think there's something to that, as opposed to just like, drafting a bunch of uncorrelated players because you're afraid to, miss out on a stack when, like Pete has said time and time again, like, the teams are only getting stronger, only getting better, inherently.
Well, I think what we did here is probably like the most optimal way to handle this dilemma of you get the uncorrelated naked quarterback, right? Where the thought is like the naked quarterback who can run and give you that floor also gives you the access to the ceiling, but is probably like, if you're overly stacked with Drake May too, like it's probably not going to support enough like high-end wide receiver scores and stuff to where like the downside there. But then with our wide receivers, like if you don't have the pocket passer with them, do we have a good example here? Maybe the Jared Goff, right? But it's like Amon Ra can still have a high floor season even without Jared Goff, going nuts. I'm trying to like think it through, but the naked quarterback seems like a nice way to handle that.
Yeah.
Or naked rushing quarterback, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
think,
liked May there a lot.
I think naked rushing quarterback makes a lot of sense, especially one where pass catchers are suppressed and cheap. I think like naked Burrow doesn't,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a loaded question because it's like if you're playing a head-to-head on redacted, like, and you have like a 1v. Oh, let's make this big.
Stroud stacks.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We could keep talking through, and I also think maybe grabbing a Tucker Craft, would make sense.
Yeah, I like Craft.
I'm trying to see.
Can we just look at the running backs? Just Dobbins is still here.
Oh yeah, that's who John wanted. You've wanted him for 2 rounds. You want to get Dobbins here?
Yeah, and then I think you could just kind of like half punt tight end, but we can just slap like 3, maybe even 4 on this team, depending how we want to allocate the one.
Are you saying you might be a little 4 tight end curious? Right.
I'm a little 4 tight end curious in Eliminator specific.
Oh,
I think I finally did one the other day in the Schnauzer.
4 BBMs already. Look at you.
Dude,
I might have chickened out. I think I chickened out. I just see the 3s. I thought I did a 4. God, I chickened out.
If you can't do it in the Schnauzer too, man.
I probably got distracted by something there. Here's the team so far for the Eliminator. We did Drake, May, and Stroud. So we kind of split the conversation we were having. We got the naked thing here with Drake, May so far. Stroud stacked up with Nico. Feel good about the RBs. Kyron, Brees, Jalen Warren, Scatterbo, Dobbins. Pretty nice mix of early season kind of production, projectable workload, and some upside there. Amon-Ra, Nico, Zay, Ridley, Downs. I mean, talk about banking targets with those 5. And then no tight ends yet.
I prefer to draft this way, I think.
Yeah, I think that what really makes this team is getting those 2 running backs to fall back in 3-4. We would not like it nearly as much if we ended up with neither of those guys or just one even.
Well, how about this? If we really want to make our minds break, doesn't this bring us back kind of to the conclusion that we have with weekly winner stacking, where you want to stack, you would prefer those stacks though to be done cheaply, and you generally want to avoid double stacks because it's for 2 different reasons. Like in weekly winners, you want to avoid the double stack because it caps your ceiling. And in this contest, you want to avoid the double stacks because it lowers your floor. So it's like you arrive at that like same equilibrium, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah, no, I think that's really well articulated. I think the one thing I would like caveat to the stacking is we're not trying to encapsulate nut ceiling like we are in weekly winners, which is what you're saying, but we're trying to raise our floor in here. And that's why I think running back, wide receiver, or running back, quarterback would be like a better pairing than like quarterback tight end. Whereas like quarterback tight end would be like, traditionally speaking, a way better ceiling chaser.
Right. Yeah, that is a good point, that those can be more risky too, because you're going to be most fragile quantity wise at the onesie position. So that stack opens you up to way more risk than just, we can survive a Nico down game. But if we had a 2 tight end build with Stroud and Schultz or whatever, that's a bad example. Let's do even Lamar Andrews more. And you have a 2 tight end build with that, like, holy shit, the one game that they outright dud.
Yeah.
That really opens you up.
It's why you're so much better in redacted cash to skinny stack and then punt tight end at like a 2,500 or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. So here's another thing we can think about. So we can do, the quarterbacks are flying off the shelf. If we want to do the 3 quarterback with the skinny stack stuff, we could do Cam with Ridley. If we want to start taking tight ends, Freiermuth, I think, makes a lot of sense as a guy who's going to project for decent targets. Hunter Henry introduces that element we were just discussing, but it might be mitigated if we're going to go 3 to 4 tight ends anyways.
Yeah. If we're gonna go 3, I think it's mitigated slightly. But I would lean taking a quarterback here. Yeah.
Okay.
I think May Stroud in this format, I like having the third.
Yeah, the only other option would be if you want to do Danny Dimes with Downs instead. But
That would have been, yeah. So then now the question is, do you want to do the Henry? Pitts feels like a very volatile thing. Strange or Henry's probably the pick.
I like Henry.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we can just we can try to get to 3 or 4 tight ends to cover that.
Oh man, 4.
We're for sure doing another wide receiver.
Like this is, I mean this in no disrespect. This is not a bit to you. You actually are like intrigued by this.
The whole reason it's intriguing is like, say we're at our last pick, right? And let's say we have 4 more picks, right? Let's say we're for sure going to take 2 more tight ends, so that gets us to 3, and then we take another wide receiver, that gets us to 6, and then you're in the last round, and at this point you are looking at a Calvin Austin versus Jawan Johnson, a Chig Okonkwo, a Yoshi Voss versus Chig, a Jatavian Sanders. I think you feel better about like the targets and role generally of some of those late tight ends.
The mean projection will tell you that every single week of the regular season.
But I do think that they will have better season long projections. Like, I don't disagree there. It's just like, in terms of like separating, there's just really not a huge separation factor in my opinion with like that 4th tight end. But I don't know. Maybe I'm too punt tight end pilled.
The only person you're trying to separate from is the person across from you, like in a 1v1, right? So like if he has 1 injured tight end on his roster and he only does a 2 tight end build, like maybe we just 1 scores in our flex, 1 scores. You know what I mean? Like in a head-to-head, I think it's so different than trying to encapsulate ceiling for the entirety of the season.
Okay. Yeah, I can vibe with that.
I mean, it's an awful scoring format for tight end, though. So there is the counter of that, Like if it was PPR or something, like these tight ends would be smashes compared to like Calvin Austin.
Yeah. I think structurally too, it's just I think in an ideal world we'd get to 7 wide receivers. We're just trying to balance this dynamic right now of making sure that we actually have viable tight end selections. And right now we do have Henry, who I think is very solid, but he is then kind of introduces that thing John and I were talking about with like, if we have the down week with the Patriots, that can wipe out 2 of those positions. But I think assuming the board doesn't get fully wiped from tight ends, like there's enough of these guys here who are going to be running routes. I mean, this goes to the other thing, like we still have other stacked tight ends here too, Schultz and Chig, where you could cleanly skinny stack every one of your quarterbacks. And then basically you're just playing a game of 3-barrel Russian roulette and hoping that those 3 teams don't have the down week at the same time ever.
Yeah. I'm warming up to it. I'm warming up to it. But my whole MO this year has just been like, just punt tight end. Like it's just so unlikely to matter. But I do see like the value in doing so here.
My hunch is we should go we should go wide receiver, tight end with these 2 picks.
And then decide
at the end. I think a guy like Keenan or Diami are probably our best chance at just like routes.
Or Hopkins in that same conversation. I think I would gravitate to Keenan.
I like Keenan, man.
Okay, let me do Keenan because I don't mind that, and then we can figure out which tight end we want to take here.
I like Ertz more than Gesicki, like less of a contingent play in my mind. Like Ertz feels like he has a role, but I might be off base on that.
No, I'm with you. He's still kicking, man. Like I don't. Like, he ran a lot of routes.
Cliff loves him, man. Cliff loves him so much.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're in really good shape, like the bye week stuff we've handled really nicely because outside of that initial Kyren, Amon Ra week 8, we have not a single double up at bye at running back, not a single double up at bye at wide receiver. Like we have 2 players on the entire roster with the same bye. So that worked out.
That's very nice in this format. That might be a very underutilized talking point. Like to give the bye week bros a little bit of credence. That might be an extremely under talked about point across all of our best ball conversations, regardless of format. That your roster construction could be skewed by your bye weeks, and like we don't give that enough credence. I think maybe. I don't know. Maybe I just mansplained being a bye week bro. But
no, I mean, like I think like if there was a market for if Eliminator all of a sudden got like BBM level popularity, like a sidekick for Eliminator would just go crazy, just like optimizing, like telling you like which of the, bye weeks to avoid like that, I think would really like, I'd be a little pissed off if somebody had
I'm pretty sure they're working on that. I mean, that's kind of what their Sims project is to help with the, with these other contests. But
well, that's fun.
Yeah, I do think like this overall structure, and this is where I think we ultimately got bailed out. I think getting Kyren and Brees like at their BBM level ADPs in a contest where early running back production should be pushed up a little bit more was just like a huge windfall for this team. And then we never really struggled that much at quarterback. We were able to get clean, skinny stacks at cost. Drake May, kind of the perfect naked QB there for us at the time. Like, I just think this room broke for us in a way that allowed us to build like a more optimal version for this contest.
Yeah, it's Team Fox.
We got really fortunate with that start.
And now we can kind of see like this dynamic. I think it's actually going to play out exactly how I thought, which is like, is there a wide receiver that we like over the tight ends? And the room might make the decision for us.
There's one name that I like. We'll see.
Yeah.
There's definitely one that I love at tight end right now.
Yeah, Juwan Johnson goes. There was a one tight end team in front of us, so like he needed a second for sure.
Traditionally speaking, I would be like, yo, pound the table for Chig coming back to us. On this roster, I don't think I want the double stacks at the tight end position.
The problem is we need a tight end, and there aren't a lot of good ones.
Because Theo overlaps with the bye. Unless we did like Galbraith, like Cole Kmet, Loveland's hurt, rookie tight ends suck.
He's normally one I'm going to just put Chig in for a second. So this is the question to me, like is there a wide receiver you like here as the 7th or taking a 4th tight end?
I like Elijah Moore, but I think I'm on an island with that take. What's the other tight end options?
I think like if you were just trying to like Eliminator pick it, it's probably Tutu or Coker.
I think it's Tutu, Coker, and then like we don't have to consider this, but like DeMarcus Robinson, if Ayuk, maybe that's more of like a down like later in the summer pick. If we find out Ayuk isn't playing the first 4 weeks, like I'll take DeMarcus Robinson on the Niners. But I think Tutu's a pretty solid Eliminator pick.
Okay.
I do too. We have Kyren, so we're getting a little cheap team level correlation there. I will say like Higbee is a guy that I sometimes click at the end. I guess we could have made an argument if there was a better tight end.
Noah Gray's not terrible because you get contingent upside plus a little bit of a roll plus potentially high scoring offense with a good pass rate over expectation.
Yeah. Yeah. Then it's close. It was close. And I do agree in this specific example, I think Tutu was better than the tight ends, but I do think you could be in that spot and it could be flipped. Like Juwan Johnson's there and Tutu's gone. And you're like, man, just take the Juwan Johnson routes.
Okay, let's play a fun game. It is week let me bring up my schedule grid. It is week 7. Okay. Kansas City is playing the Raiders, and the Rams are playing the Jags that week. Who projects for more fantasy points? Tutu Atwell or Noah Gray?
Sorry, what was the beginning of the hypothetical?
Yeah.
There's no injuries. There's no nothing. Who projects for more fantasy points?
Oh, Tutu.
Yeah. Tutu's always going to project.
Gray,
Gray's not going to project well.
He has to have a Kelsey injury to project well.
Okay.
I will say I'm fine with the Tutu pick. I think if we were to go running back, I think Giddens there, like Easy is pointing out, would not have been like a bad, like, hey, like if we hit a home run here, like this team is just like unbeatable, you know?
Yeah.
Like if there is, just think like let's just like play hypothetical here for a second. Like let's assume Giddens is him in the waiting, and God forbid. But let's just like think about it. JT goes down.
Yeah.
Man, how soon does the Eliminator turn into a Giddens contest where every week it's just like you're facing a Giddens team, and it's just like you have Giddens or not, like good game,
Yeah, we have that sample size from last year. It's Jordan Mason, so we could go back and look and see what Jordan Mason did in the Eliminator for advances. It wouldn't be head to heads, but it would be the same thesis, right? Jordan Mason was going 101 in the dailies. Like we literally have that sample.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. I think it was close. I mean, we also I like the base of wide receivers, 5 through 85. But 5 through 180, which is where we were at before we took Keenan. Like, I do think having the extra thing, especially considering Keenan, we think he's going to play football. We think he will have a little CLV on this, but we don't know for certain. So I do think
oh my God,
5 plus Keenan does feel a little light, and getting the third tight end was non-negotiable on this team. So,
and we did a good job of running back too, right? It's not like we were weak there.
Yeah. So here's the full recap for our audio listeners here. This was very fun to talk through this. Drake May, CJ Stroud, Cam Ward. Running backs, Kyron Williams, Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, Cam Scatterbo, J.K. Dobbins. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra, Nico, Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, Josh Downs, Keenan Allen, Tutu Atwell. And then tight ends, Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, Chigga Conquo. Tight end is the only thing that makes me feel a little squeamish. I feel like otherwise the combo of the bye weeks and the profiles, light correlation, but nothing that opens yourself up to catastrophic, team level risk. I do really like this team.
Yeah, that was a really fun draft to talk through and just feel out as we went. And I think we did a really good job on the fly of that. But yeah, I'm in lockstep with you guys. The way the running backs broke for us, coupled with those first 2 wide receivers, was just such a good building block.
Because it was funny, John, when you said that, at the top, when you're like, hey, let's go wide receiver, double wide receiver, because I like the running backs at the 3-4 turn. I was like, in BBM, I like him, but I'm like, there's just no way Kyron and Breece Hall are coming back. And then it's like, what are we taking? James Cook and Omari and Hampton there, right. And then they fall back, and I'm like, holy, Breece Hall falling. I mean, look, even the ADPs in this for a running back heavy contest early. 7 picks after ADP for Kyron and 6 picks for Breece. That's gonna. I don't think this is something you're gonna be able to reliably replicate in your eliminator ropes.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I do have to bounce.
Oh yeah.
My wife has a call, and I have my noise canceling's on, but he's baby screaming his head off.
No, you're good. We're gonna power it down in a second anyway, so we'll let you go. And,
okay. Thanks guys. Good team.
Peace out,
we'll wrap it up.
Okay, peace.
But yeah, I think that was very fun to talk through, and it just made it more fun because we did not get punished at running back.
that's basically the only reason it was fun. Because if we were trying to just be like, okay, we got to stack or we got to tack on DJ Giddens and Sampson at the end here, or Lloyd, to just feel like we were treading water at running back position. It can feel like the first 2 weeks, and especially that prioritizing week 1, that we're taking like 4 zeros at the running back position.
Yeah. And I do think, like, obviously you're going to mix it up based on where you're at and what the room's giving to you. I think ideally, like, a running back wide receiver start is nice because it does then give you the flexibility where, you know, in BBM and stuff, if you get behind at a position, it's like you can always make up for it with quantity. Because again, you can just build a team with week 15 through 17 in mind. But like here, like if you do not have enough running back power for week 1, like, how are you going to beat the other 6 teams in your thing with like a 0 RB roster? Like, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you're just praying for like a camp injury or something at that point. Like, I don't know. Let's see one of the 0 RB teams in the middle there who just pissed. Like, when did he take his first? 5 running backs. Or, I mean, sorry, 5 wide receivers, and then what?
And then he goes Henderson, Judkins. So, like, to me, this is a BBM build.
That's a BBM build.
Because, like, the projected workload, oh man, like, this team, I love this team for BBM. I'm trying not, but for our guy here, Henderson, Judkins, Charbonnet, like, this team could score like 8 points total at running back week 1. And then you're coming all the way down to Algier, Miles Sanders. Like, that, I try to be nice, but that is not a good eliminator team.
No, that's a moon shooter, right? And that's, as you alluded to, that's a BBM build. That's a win the tourney build. That's not your cash game build right there.
Yes.
It definitely vaults the values of the projected volume, especially in week 1.
Yeah. I'm laughing here because this commenter, Ollie, he says, I think John and Nez are the 2 best guests on here. Ollie is one of the people that was really upset with Pat Mayo yesterday. And I have not noticed Ollie on the channel until the Pat Mayo show, but I just like the idea that he started watching the YouTube on Monday and he's like, sees Pat Mayo as my guest, just berating the chat. And then his next experience on the channel is you and Nez. And he's like, I'm starting to think John and Nez are the best guests on the show in comparison to Pat Mayo.
They're a bit nicer. That's good.
But yeah, it's a very fun contest to think through, just both strategy and then obviously how the sweat is going to go. And yes, the elephant in the room is there's a ton of variance with the 1 of 2 matchups throughout the way. Like, it is when you had the format from last year where it's like 6 of 12 and it's like a sliding scale, each week, where you're just trying to avoid being the, in the bottom 3rd or bottom, 4th of your pod. That allows for less variance. And when you go head to head, like, you could have the nutted team and you just happen to run into the other slightly more nutted team in the entire contest. That's just bad luck. Like, your nutted team in the old format would never lose, most likely. Right. But that's head to head. Like, it's like when you get into the playoffs of your home league, right, with your friends, and it's like, I have the second best team, and I just had to run into the highest score. That's
everybody goes back and looks at the matchups in the semifinals, and if I was just in the other bracket, I would have beat them by 80. Yeah.
And to me, it's both a bug and a feature, right? Exactly. Like, the feature is how the sweat is going to play off. I think it is a pretty worthy trade-off for the sweat. For the sweat equity. And again, the beauty right now of the contest on Underdog is there is a contest for everyone. If you want to eliminate as much variance as possible and you just want to put your balls on the table and draft the best team, boy, do I have a contest for you. And it's called the Marathon. You will have a blast in that contest.
This one also, the sweat experience associated with it is going to be so cool because it's going to be so clean, right? You're going to see your pod. You're going to know what you're rooting for. You're going to know whatever. Whereas, like, when you're jumbled up in these big GPPs and that sort of thing, like in the latter weeks of the tournament, it's like, oh yeah, I want this to happen, but I also don't want this to happen because it's going to like move the needle X amount. This is just going to be such a clean sweat.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, we mentioned it before, but I think we'll see some pretty funny shit talking as the season progresses. And then, like, it will get to a point where the stakes are pretty significant as far as what the pay jumps mean from some of those later weeks as you inch closer to week 17.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if anybody wants to draft some eliminators, as I'm prone to do with these shows that we run, then I get the itch for it. I just hopped in the next 10 slots.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and I'd have to I need someone to do the math for me too. I need to look into specifically like how many teams are left in like the week 15 pods, the week 16. That way it would be fun to like splice out like what the pay jumps are for each week.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have some big ones, right? Like you look at this, assuming this is spliced out by week, like the 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 2, 2 to 5, like those pay jumps are going to start to be pretty sick.
Yeah, you're basically gonna have like a heads up battle for 500 or something like that. Like, then you got a heads up for 1,000, then you got a heads up for 2,500. Like that's very cool that, most people can't afford to play that high a limit on redacted for like a weekly cash game. So now you get that sweat experience for a $10 price point. Very cool.
For sure. And we think about how like pay jumps traditionally work in these contests, right? Where you are at the mercy of Jahmyr Gibbs gets another carry on Monday Night Football in week 17, and you are literally dropping 4 slots from 10K down to 1K on one carry. Ricky Pearsall then catches 1 pass, and now you're back up. Like the fact that you'll have like pay jumps by week, like significant pay jumps by week, as opposed to just like what's happening on Monday Night Football, will be pretty fun.
Yeah, no, very much so. It's actually something I hadn't even like thought about yet until we go like full deep dive in it.
Yep. Okay. This was fun. Shout out to the chat for voting Eliminator. Enjoyed talking that through. John, let them know rest of your Badge Bros schedule this week.
Yeah, this is going to funnel right on over to members only, talk through the baseball slate. Underdog did a great job today of breaking up the baseball slate so you're not double drafting. So we got a nice 7-game main slate there. Might do a little WNBA to appease the people there, some home run pick'ems, and a NHL finals pick'em for this evening, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight. Your boy might take down the big Zamboni. We're like 2 points back. We were winning until the final goal of last game there. So yeah, we got a 1v1 for the big Zamboni tonight. So we'll see.
Nice, dude. Good luck. All right, go check out the Membies only. We'll see you guys next week. Maybe we can do another vote on what to draft, or we'll see if there's anything else new in the lobby by then. For Nez, for John, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next